Hey guys, I'm back. It's been a hectic few weeks, so I missed a few videos. But today, I'm going to talk about Savannah Monitor's diet and do a little feeding video. So this girl, I feed only insects, which all Savannah Monitors should be fed insects. Daniel Bennett and Baturi Ali have dissected Savannah Monitors in the wild, and they have pictures on their website, savmon.org. And in those pictures, they dissected adult Savannah monitors, a male and a female, and their stomach contents only had insects in them. So I'm going to go based off that and say that in the wild, these guys are only eating insects. And so that's what I'm going to feed in captivity. But I have a couple superworms and a couple hornworms for her today. When you feed these guys in captivity, you have to remember not to overfeed them because it's pretty fun to watch them feed. But if you feed them too much, they can get very fat and they'll end up dying prematurely. In captivity, they don't get nearly as much exercise as they would if they were in the wild. In the wild, they're going to chase insects around. And in captivity, we usually just throw it in there and let them get it. We don't make them work for it at all. Therefore, they become very fat, get no exercise, and they just get fat and die early of fatty liver disease, unfortunately. So they only need a few. I only feed this one girl maybe 5 or 6 superworms a day, and then I'll feed her maybe a couple dubias, and that'll be about it. But I know I've seen a lot of videos where people are feeding, 2 or 3 rodents at a time, and they'll do that, 3 or 4 times a week. I feed her a little bit every day. In the wild, they're going to eat every day. So I don't know why in captivity people say feed them 2 to 3 times a week. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're probably hunting and catching insects every day. But I guess if you're feeding rodents, then it probably should be 2 times a week, even though they shouldn't be eating rodents because they don't naturally. That's my fingers. Drop that one too. Oh, that's gone. But don't mind the water, it's dirty right now. I changed it yesterday and she already got a bunch of dirt and stuff in it. These guys are very fun to watch eat. So I understand how people get them fat pretty easily. It's very easy to overfeed them because you just like watching them run around and chase the food and all that. But you have to remember to let them get some exercise when you feed. You make them run around, chase the food, and don't give them too much of the food. In the next 2 weeks, I think I'm going to stop feeding her and go do the aestivation period, which is basically a dormant period where they don't eat or drink anything. Because in Africa, during the dry season, which is our winter, there's no water. Therefore, the bugs aren't reproducing, so they don't have much food, and so they just go into a dormant period where they don't eat or drink anything for 5 to 6 months. And so I'm going to try that with her and see how it goes. Hopefully we can figure out why these guys won't breed in captivity. Because feeding rodents and not doing a dormant period obviously isn't working since nobody can really reproduce these guys. And I think the people that do reproduce them haven't gotten second generation, so there's no true captive bred and born Savannah monitors that I know of. These guys are really cool lizards. I think they're very underrated, and people recommend you get Ackie monitors or something like that as a first beginning monitor, but I don't like Ackies. I like monitors with big heads, so I like the African monitors like the Savannah monitors and black throats and white throats. I don't like the little tiny peanut heads on the Ackies. Not my thing. So you just have to remember to do the proper research and make sure you have enough space to keep these guys. Because people say Ackies are a good first monitor, but Ackies require a ton of space just like these guys do. And she's not much bigger than an Ackie at all. I think she's probably about the same size as an adult Ackie. So it just all depends on your level of care and how much space you're willing to give a monitor. I mean, if you don't want to give a monitor a good amount of space, then you shouldn't have any monitor. It doesn't matter if it's an Ackie or a Savannah monitor. The only upside to Ackies is that they are captive born and bred, and a bunch of people breed them. And Savannah monitors are pretty much all wild caught or captive hatched, which sucks, and hopefully that can change in the next 10 years or so. We'll see. Don't want it. Just put it there for you. I'm feeding her some earthworms now. Just giving her a couple. But these guys aren't hard monitors to take care of, and they get a bad rap for being mean and all this stuff. But I mean, when retics and ball pythons were first being brought into the US, they were mean assholes too. Then once they got a few captive generations bred, they have calmed down, and now everybody has a ball python, and a lot of people have a retic. And I think retics are a much worse pet to have than a Savannah monitor, to be honest. Even if the retic is captive born, or it gets huge. Not many people can take care of a 15 to 20 foot snake, but I think a lot more people can take care of a 2 to 3 foot Savannah monitor. That retic is going to require a lot more space than this Savannah monitor does, just because of its size. But Savannah monitors have definitely turned into my favorite lizard, hands down. I wish more people would attempt to breed these guys, or even put in the effort to research them, because all you have to do is do a simple Google search for Savannah monitors and savmon.org pops up. So I don't know why more people don't know about that site, or maybe they do know about the site and they just don't care to follow the information that's on there, because it has everything on there, from what their nest sites look like, when they're most active, what they eat, all types of stuff. So the information's there for everybody to be able to take care of these animals properly and possibly even breed them, so that way we don't have to have imported wild caught Savannah monitors come in by the thousands every year. These guys are already getting hunted in Africa for their skin and meat, so we don't need to export any more for the pet trade. We should make an effort to captive breed these guys and not look at them as just a cheap $50, throwaway monitor. Because I think these are awesome lizards. They don't get too big. They're not super mean. As long as she knows that my fingers aren't worms, I'm good. Yeah, that's about all I have today. I just wanted to do a quick feeding video and go over what I feed, because I see way too many videos on YouTube and on Instagram of people feeding rodents to them, and live rodents too, which, I mean, if you're going to feed a frozen thawed, that's one thing, but feeding a live rodent to a monitor and then posting that video online, I think is just wrong. I mean, those rodents suffer a lot when these monitors get them. It's pretty violent. And I don't think those videos should be posted out there for people to see, because it doesn't look good on the reptile community. You have rodent lovers starting to hate us. You have PETA hating us. I mean, we don't need any more hate because you want to feed a live rodent on camera just to get more views. I know feeding insects isn't as fun as feeding, a live rodent, but it's the right thing. They don't eat rodents in the wild. They shouldn't eat rodents in captivity. So everybody, please go check out savmon.org if you're interested in Savannah monitors. There is a ton of useful information on there. That is where I get all my information. I owned her for maybe a week before I discovered that website. So, I mean, there's no excuse for anybody else that has a Savannah monitor to not know about that site and not know about Daniel Bennett and Baturi Ali and the research they've done over the past, 30 years in Africa studying these guys in the wild. I don't think it gets much better than that information. You can listen to what anybody else says on YouTube, but that information is the most accurate in my mind, because they've actually been out in the field, in the wild, studying these guys for real. Not just taking what they've seen from other YouTube videos and regurgitating it. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be back next week.